Good to see everyone. Let's start with a quick video, please. Can we roll that video?
I arrived in Budapest today only to find out Uber is going to be banned in 4 days here. So today I want to compare Uber versus taxi in Budapest. The distance is 2 kilometers from the train station to the city center. First, I gotta walk to the taxi station. I'm trying to get to Octagon.
Octagon.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you put meter on?
No, 4,000 forint.
4,000?
Yes, it's more.
5,000?
Yes.
That's like 20 bucks. It's 1 mile away. Do you have meter? Yeah, it's just at Teresa and Grassi Street, right? You go, hey man, can I play some music? Yes. Oh, thank you. 280 per kilometer. That's not true? This is not true. Wait, so why is it there? 2,000 or 3,000? Okay. Why does it say 3,000 there?
All right. I want you to think about taxis before Uber. If you needed a ride, you faced 3 core problems. You could think of this kind of as a funnel, right? The VCs refer to this as the total addressable market, or the TAM. And at each one of these core problems, you filter some out. You can think of it kind of like a guillotine, where you're losing people at each point of friction. So the first one is trust. There's unpredictable fares. You just saw in the video that you'd ask one driver, you get one fare. You ask another one, you get another fare. It's unpredictable. You don't know what to pay, especially if you land in another country and you don't even know what the currency is. Number 2 is unknown drivers. Just imagine, you look at the license of the guy, it doesn't look necessarily like him. We've all been in that situation before. Unknown drivers, moreover, there's no recourse. If this driver isn't actually the right driver, what are you going to do? There's no system in your mind, especially if you're traveling, on how to be able to provide that feedback. Number 3, there's no tracking. You're in the back seat of the car. You're tracking along on your Google Maps. It says to go right. You ask the driver why he didn't go right, and he tells you something about how he's lived here for 25 years, and he knows the best way. The second one is experience. Limited payment options. You finish a ride. You finally get to the place you wanted. Can I pay on a card? No, sorry, card machine's not working today. Can I pay in dollars? No, sorry, you have to pay in local currency. Do you have change? No, I'm sorry, I'm out today. Inconsistent service. Maybe you had one good ride and you go to have another one. It's a totally different scenario. Different taxi companies that run different things totally differently. Cars are not necessarily clean. And then number 3, availability. So if you've made it through these first 2 guillotines and you actually are trying to find a taxi, well, you've got a limited supply. You get out of the airport, you go in the taxi line, you're waiting there, maybe there's only 20 cars, there's 40 people in line. After you've got those 20 cars, you say to the taxi stand operator, hey, we need to order another cab. Sure, it'll be here in 20 minutes. So you've got these long wait times with a whole lot of unclarity around whether or not they're coming. And lastly, I know we're in New York City and people take it as a point of pride usually on how to be able to hail a taxi. At least they used to. When I moved here, that was one of the first things you had to learn how to do, is be able to hail a taxi really well like a New Yorker. But that's not something that's very comfortable for a lot of people that don't live in New York. So if you needed a ride, you had to find one. In simple terms, big fucking problem. The system wasn't built for riders, it was built for drivers. Uber came along and gave riders an offer that they couldn't refuse. Never get ripped off. Trust. This comes from the fact that you know exactly what you're going to pay when you get in the car or before you get in the car. The driver's rating. This is an amazing feedback loop that actually improves the experience dramatically. You've got driver's ratings, which not only tell you what other people's experiences have been with that driver, it tells you what to expect when you get into the car, and if you don't want that driver, you can cancel. Real-time tracking, you and the driver are both following along on the same app. There's no discrimination around whether or not you want to take the route that they say is the right one or you say is the right one. The app is the arbiter, and it's going to tell you whether or not you're getting ripped off. And the experience, clean cars. Again, this is the feedback into the driver rating. Seamless app. You know, it's the same thing that you had when you took off and when you landed. It's all on your phone. You're familiar with it. You don't have to go get something else. and frictionless payments. You can do everything right on your phone. It's transparent. You don't have to worry about local currencies. Availability, I mean, this is obviously the best thing. On-demand rides. You're not looking for a taxi stand or going to a hotel to try and get them to hail a cab for you. It's where you want, when you want it. Precise locations and faster pickups, not calling and waiting for them to come. So let's talk about the global financial market today. It's a lot like taxis before Uber. Lacking trust. I'm going to give a couple of examples. Everyone has their own examples, just to kind of clarify where there's this lack of trust. So the first one was, I was a broke college kid, and I had a job where on Fridays I would get deposited in my, direct deposit in my bank account, my check from my job. And I was pretty broke, so I was waiting. I was close to around zero on my balance on Thursday night. But then on Friday, I knew I had my deposit. And I was going to be able to go out and have a couple of beers and a nice dinner with some friends. I checked on Saturday to see what my account balance was. And my bank had basically gone to the Dr. Evil School of Financial Accounting, where they would take the order of transactions, and they decided to take the one that put me into overdraft first, the other two that kept me in overdraft after that, and then charged me $25 fees for each of these overdrafts before they put in the direct deposit, which actually paid for it. I got netted down. It was the worst experience ever. Experience number two, I moved from London to Portugal. HSBC doesn't allow you to transfer a large amount of money or your balance without going into the branch location. This is during COVID-19. There was no branch locations that were open. And when you move to Portugal, there is no HSBC. It was effectively impossible to do. And finally, when number three, I actually opened up my bank account in Portugal. I deposited. Of course, you have to do this in person in Portugal as well. And the first thing they told me was, hey, you want to invest some of this money? I said, well, what would you recommend? You can invest in the S&P 500. Okay, not really realizing I was an American, I also had access to this. I said, okay, that seems like a good idea. How much does that cost me? 1.5%, just to invest in the S&P 500. Fabulous. It's inefficient. You think about how many times you do something in the financial markets where you just know it's squeezing some money out, and it's controlled by middlemen. My name is Mike Cahill. I'm the co-founder of the Pyth network, and I'm here to talk to you about the fact that they lied to you. The global financial market doesn't exist. So they told you there's this market, right? A global, interconnected financial market. But in reality, it looks a little bit more like this. It's manipulated, fragmented, inaccessible, expensive, opaque. In simple terms, big fucking problem. The system wasn't built for access, it was built for control. It's controlled by those who are profited from keeping it exclusive. It's a $34 trillion market. It's massive. 20% of the value is lost to fragmentation. Another 10% is lost due to regulatory barriers. And meanwhile, market data revenue for exchanges has increased over 100% over the past 5 years. Market data as a commodity has outperformed oil, gold, and the S&P 500. If you take the top 6 exchanges, last year they earned $8 billion. Now, where do you think that's coming from? Out of your pocket. So there must be a better way. Now, remember, we started off the Uber versus taxi example. Uber, any ride, any place, any time. But was Uber just an anomaly, or is there a trend? Let's think. Netflix, any movie, any place, any time. Spotify, any song, any place, any time. YouTube, any video, any place, any time. Amazon, any item, any place, any time. Pyth, any price, any place, any time. Pyth is rewriting the market data economy. Never get ripped off. Trust comes from the source. Market data is coming directly from the owners. This is not being paid for by just a handful of people. There's no intermediary middlemen. Directly from the source data. It's fully transparent. Using blockchain technology, you can see the composition of any price that's been created. What are the contributing factors to that? You can analyze each one of the histories of those contributing factors. In fact, it's got tremendous amounts of detail at your fingertips looking through the entire history. And it's direct. There's no added latency or fees that are stepped in the middle. The experience comes from the fact that you have a single integration. You're not having to go to get Indian equities from one place, trying to get Chinese equities from another, US futures from yet another, waiting for months and months to be able to add these fees or add these feeds into your back office or front office system. It is real time, and not delayed 15 minutes real time. It's down to 1 millisecond as the fastest speeds. And it's low and transparent costs. Availability, got every asset class covered, and we're growing very quickly. It's available for on-chain uses with cryptographic verifications, and it's available off-chain on the internet through a WebSocket or fixed API. And yes, like a true global market, it's 24/7. Can we play the next video?
Everything has its price. Everybody has a price.
Everything comes with a price.
And everything has a price.
Everybody has a price.
But everything has a price.
Everything's available for a price. Price for everything.
Okay, Pyth, the price of everything, everywhere. The Pyth network is a $1 billion protocol. There are currently over 120 institutions that are supplying their data that constitutes over 1,200 different price feeds, instruments, or symbols, whatever you want to call them. And it's being used by 500 applications on over 100 different blockchains. We've partnered with some of the best trading firms ranging from Jane Street and Virtu, bank like Nomura, crypto exchanges such as Binance and Coinbase, and fintechs like Revolut. That's just a small sample. There's over 100 more, including some of the groundbreaking new exchanges, cross-market exchanges like LMAX. We're creating a truly global financial market in a very simple way. Number one, Pyth pays institutions for their market data. Two, we put that data on the blockchain. This makes it easier, faster, and cheaper for anyone to use anywhere. Is that it? No. Financial platforms applications use Pyth data to power trading experiences, which goes full circle. This makes it possible for the network to get smarter as the usage of the data reinforces more data. Now, why should you care? You maybe don't think about market data all that often. You should care so that you never get ripped off. Our data is 75% cheaper than NASDAQ. That's only half the equation. In 2024, Pyth paid over $50 million in rewards on the Pyth token to publishers for incentivizing them to provide their data to the network. So think about this system, right? We go from millions of dollars of waiting months to add new symbols to a system where something is listed anywhere in the world and it's added in minutes. From a few exchanges making billions and billions of dollars to hundreds of firms now sharing in this revenue. From a fragmented system full of constraints to a step change in supply and demand. From these 6 exchanges being the only ones making reasonable amounts of money selling data to this entire ecosystem that benefits from the commodification of market data. All right, so let's see the results. Better data, I hope so. I mean, I spent a lot of time talking about this, so. We're going to go through a couple of different slides, and corporate wants you to see the difference between these two. But basically, on the one side, we're going to have the exchange where the data is being sold and it's contributing to that pie that I mentioned. And on the other side is going to be the Pyth data, right? So the Pyth data is obviously, I've talked over and over about. It's being sourced by this whole network. It's not a single exchange. It's much cheaper. So what you'd expect to see is hopefully something that looks similar. Now, I need to emphasize something. The data you're going to see is going to show you a snapshot, right? But I need you to imagine this is all real time. It's not delayed at all. All right, so we'll start here with NASDAQ and the price of Tesla. On the left, you've got NASDAQ. On the right, you have Pyth. All right, we're pretty good. 1 for 1. Here's Eurodollar on ice, Eurodollar versus Pyth. 2 for 2. Coinbase, Bitcoin versus Pyth Bitcoin. Pretty good. And crude oil from the CME. Pyth, I could do this 1,290 more times, but I will stop. I'm very proud of this number. So this represents a 500 new symbol addition in just this year alone. And we've grown tremendously as a network. We want to grow a lot. And the fact that there's the full S&P 500, NASDAQ 100 equities are all covered, in addition to all the crypto markets and FX, is a big milestone. But we're not stopping anytime soon, right? So this is the short-term thing we're looking at. There's 5,700 NASDAQ and NYSE symbols, and that is our short-term goal. And we're going to make sure that we get there as soon as we possibly can. But that's not much. Where we're really going is we want to have literally the price of everything everywhere. Millions and millions of symbols, no matter where something trades, anywhere in the world, a singular source for that all to be brought on and available to everyone. We're trading a truly global financial market. And if you want to be part of this future, let's build it together. Thank you. Oh, sorry, one more thing. So if you think that the price of everything is a big deal, now imagine when the AI agent economy really kicks in. Where do you think the AI is going to get its price from? I got a pretty good idea. Thanks, everyone.